I'm your director, producer, writer, and overall star of Under the Golden Gate.
Yeah, we don't want any straight.
So they bring me on when they got the classy guests on. So we have an actual author, somebody who wrote words. Everybody, and many of them.
I didn't know you were literate.
Barely, but I can manage. So he is here. He's here, I believe, publishing a new book called Valle of the Dolls.
Yes.
He is an author. He is also a film archivist and lives in Hollywood, correct?
Correct.
And we were lucky enough to have him on our show.
You're very lucky.
And we're just hoping he can escape alive without, Starfucker Maria coming after him.
Well, hey,
I just want to hear all the stories.
I'm here to take my chances.
So let's welcome David Del Valle.
Thank you. I feel the love.
Yes,
I feel the love.
Yeah, can you see the dollar signs in her eyes?
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
Do you make change? Is my question. No, never mind. All right, let's get to it.
Okay, so first of all, tell us about this new book that you're pushing right now that's coming out.
Pushing. I beg your pardon.
Well, selling.
This is part of my
pushing,
pulling, grabbing.
Yeah, we all know.
This is my trilogy. First was Lost Horizons Beneath the Hollywood Sign. Then the effect was so overwhelming.
And what are these books? These are like behind the scenes Hollywood.
Well, this is film history disguised as memoirs, disguised as an enigma trapped in a paradox wrapped in a question performed by an atheist.
It sounds great.
So I did a second one after this called Six Reels Under. Now the reason, you may wonder.
Sounds very provocative.
Well, it's provocative,
yes.
Funny. But the point is, 6 Reels Under is kind of a little joke.
Sure.
Because my cousin Robert Del Valle produced 6 Feet Under, as well as Glee and True Blood.
HBO show.
Yes, classy show.
See, got some class here.
Shut the fuck up. And,
exactly.
And so what we have here is...
We can finally get paid to have Skip removed.
See, I was paid ahead of time. But
are you really the cleaner?
Wait, Skip laughs at my jokes.
Well, we forget
that's
that.
I laugh at your everything.
I need Skip.
He's your everything.
Yes.
All right, and so the third one, Valle of the Dolls, is the trilogy.
Yes.
3 books.
So I'm taking that one is all about Valle of the Dolls.
Well, I reference Valle of the Dolls because I understand that gay people like Valle of the Dolls.
They do a wee bit.
So
yes.
as a gay man, I decided to penetrate this myth. I penetrated this myth. And I couldn't think of anything to write about Valle of the Dolls. It hadn't already been written. So what do I do? What do I do?
Yes.
I focus on Ted Casablanca.
The character
who is trying desperately to...
who's not a fag.
He's not a fag, and Patty Duke is the woman to prove that I'm just the girl to prove that he's not.
Ted
so I looked at that and I said, what a metaphor for the gay man in 1967. Totally. Ted Casablanca, gossip columnist, stud, might be homosexual. We're just not sure. It's 1967. Dionne Warwick's doing the title song. You can't be sure of anything.
No, you can't.
It's all a myth.
Back in that day, you weren't quite as open. You didn't. I mean, the gay
lifestyle was kind of.
But a lot of people weren't, especially if you were going to be
not in
working within the film industry.
No, because when Boys in the Band came out, I remember being in an audience in Sacramento, California, with all these straight people, watching what they hoped was a slice of homosexual life, and of course, what they got was a kind of gay meditation on Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which was a gay meditation on marriage by a closeted playwright.
Right.
And so there we were, 1966, 1967.
Right.
And we've come such a long way.
I mean, we're getting married now. I mean, you got Ellen.
I know.
We've come
it's amazing. I mean, back then, there must have been like crazy gay parties back in the 60s where people like knew what was really going on.
There have been crazy gay parties since
the Roman
Tiberius.
Speaking of
since ancient Rome.
Crazy gay parties. Now, you lived in San Francisco.
I lived in San Francisco a few years ago.
Yes, when you went to school. You were a young
I went to
lad.
San Francisco State, and already, let me give you a story that explains
tell the world,
the imagery of being in San Francisco in the late 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
Wow.
I was in college, and I was taking a course in Shakespeare from a very openly gay man named Dr. Donald Daubs, who was kind of like Skip. And he would come into the... Fabulous. He would come into the thing and say, all right, everyone, here's the deal. We're going to talk about Falstaff, but we're going to talk about it in a new... All right, it's Bally High. Falstaff is Louis Armstrong. This is the way I was taught Shakespeare in San Francisco.
However you can break the code.
Falstaff was Louis Armstrong. So anyway, I got to know this professor rather well, and then in one of our tutorials, he confessed to me that he was gay.
Okay.
Which was, not surprising. And,
no big shock.
And he said, I want to go to the baths, and I don't want to go by myself. And you seem like a guy that knows his way around.
And what did you look like back then?
Obviously,
I was fabulous.
You're fabulous.
I'm fabulous now. I was even more fabulous.
A man who is fabulous and smiles all the time and is happy, he must be gay.
Well, somewhat, yeah.
Yeah.
So in any case, he wanted to go to the Rich Street. No, he wanted to go to the Rich Street baths.
Rich Street baths.
But here was Donald's problem. He was using the pink section of the Advocate, and he was telling them that the reason he was so sexually inexperienced was that he was a priest who had now left the ministry and was going to, explore his.
I would
gay
think
side.
that would mean line forms to the left.
Well, it could have been, but you're Dr. Daubs and you're very insecure.
Okay.
So
So
I take him to the baths. I take him to the Rich Street baths. We get out, and he said, "Wait a minute, I've got to get something out of my trunk."
Yes, and
Now,
what was that?
I knew there were little red lights going
Oh
on.
yeah.
So we go to the back
comes
of
the
his
king.
trunk, and we open it up, and inside is this large kind of rubbery thing. And I said, "Now you shut up." And I said, "What is this?" And he had a matted chest hair thing that you glue onto your chest.
Oh my God.
Because he felt like, to be more of a man, he wanted hairy chest. So he's saying, "Lick the back of this for me." So I'm like this, and I'm licking, and then he puts it on.
Is it dark in there?
Imagine putting it on the wrong
trunk?
way.
No, in the club.
I'll describe the Rich Street baths in a moment. Just let me do this sequence.
We're going to get to the Polk Street
Let's get
part
to
in a minute.
sequence.
Okay.
So Donald Daubs is now wearing his hairy chest.
Yes.
We go up and we go inside the Rich Street baths, which is very nice. And constantly, I recall the Supremes were popular. And so Can't Hurry Love, I mean, really? You had to hurry Love in there.
Yeah.
So
It was by the hour.
Love was in a hurry.
Right.
So we go in, and he's like, what do I do? I said, now here's what we're going to do. We put on our towels, which of course, everyone's in towels, and the rooms are all painted in very dark reds and blues and greens, and it's dark. But all the doors are open, and you just see one man's lying on his stomach, which means he's ready to be fucked, and then there's another man sitting up.
Now, were they fully naked, or were they still?
Well, it
towel?
depends. I mean, it was a long time ago.
I know.
But I'll try and
Details.
and remember.
Dan
for
wants to know
you.
all the details.
I know you want details. So
Creating a picture.
What did it smell like in there?
It was a long time ago, but I smelled like jockstraps in here, y'all. And so what we did, we went in, and for a man of God, he certainly got the whiff of things in a hurry. He disappeared.
Well, when something's repressed like that when that cork pops, you just go.
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice image. Hold on to that. And so we went through this, and he just disappears. And then I find a likely lad, and so I'm in here. And then about an hour or 2 hours later, he's found someone already. I mean, isn't it the luck of the
What's that chest
first
hair?
timer? It was the chest hair, which was getting very loose, I might say. So anyway,
I can only imagine how bad it looked because of the bad plastic.
it was a long time
It wasn't an
ago.
Austin Powers chest hair kind of thing, was it?
It could have been.
Yeah.
But remember, Austin Powers wasn't even a tadpole.
No, not at all.
Anybody's
No,
that
eyelids.
wasn't a bad
So in any
movie.
case, that's one little amusing thing about life in San Francisco at that time. But when I see the Polk Street situation now, in those days, when gay men or anyone else that was a tourist would come to San Francisco, I remember one guy from Australia said, "Take me to Fairyland. Take me to Fairyland. I've got to work on
that
it.
used to be the Polk.
Take me to Fairyland."
That used to be the Polk, which is now
Which was
mostly
the
straight.
Polk. So he would get in the car, and they would know from the
This was
airport
Fairyland.
to take him to Polk Street with a Polk Strata.
Yes.
And there was Busby's, the In Touch Lounge,
Yes.
the Raven, the PS. And there was an atmosphere that was so
Sleazy.
Well, it wasn't just that. It was that so many
In a good
people
way.
had come here from the Midwest, from New York, and the one common denominator they all had was repression.
Right.
So the minute they got here into San Francisco, they felt like everything is possible.
That's true.
And because of that, because I had a beard and shaggy hair and tight Levi's and open shirts. It was all the Marlboro look. And you didn't really talk to people. You would walk down a street like Polk Street. One guy would be walking this way. You'd just look at each other, and the next thing you knew, you were up in some room having sex, and then you'd find out
That's
their
still
name
happening, yes.
or who
Way
they
too
were.
easy.
But
God.
it was all done very kind of without dialogue.
Right, kind of matter of
And
factly.
the glamour
code.
of sex in those days was the fact that no one was ashamed. nobody was frightened.
Right.
And that's what made San
that was
Francisco
gay live.
like
60s.
this.
Yep.
Really, the 60s and the 70s.
They're going to
70s.
the Stonewall era, the gay lib era.
Yeah, yeah.
Things were changing.
Well, I went to state, so
Sexual
we
revolution
had
was
Dr.
going on?
Hayakawa. He
Right.
was the head of the college. And when
also-
you say there were, it wasn't like we had the kind of freedom you do now.
Right.
But I
Oh,
think
no.
my point now
But still
is to say
ideals
to the
that they shared.
the 18 to 25-year-olds that are now having all this wonderful time where there's no
It's
guilt.
like what was going through
There's no
on-
guilt and
Right.
there's no kind of shame. And
Well, I
you're
don't-
completely-
yeah, I seriously
you're
think
completely-
that-
No, is that they got that because of people like me.
Yes,
Because of the
that's true.
gay men that
Spearheading,
that
spearheading,
that
yeah.
came first.
And-
All right.
And people in entertainment like Paul Lind, Charles Nelson
Lind.
Riley.
Oh yeah, I mean,
You know,
They're all gay guys.
even when I was a
Rip,
kid, I
Rip
knew.
Taylor.
Rip Taylor and Liberace. Even
Wild
though
Wagner.
he took his time, didn't he? But by the time he was in hot pants at Radio City, and people were still talking about why can't he marry
Why can't he
Sonia
be-
Haney? Why won't Sonia
can't
Haney
he
marry
settle
him?
down? Oh,
Could
my
it be
gosh.
because he's flying off the
And
stage?
you know, of course, also the Pope was known for all of its boy hustlers too, hanging out.
Oh no! Listen, I got one better. I just saw
Make it
a
short.
photograph of all the cardinals in the Vatican, their secretaries. You could
They're
do
all
a
born-
calendar with these
like a
guys, like a
Chippendale.
Chippendales calendar with all of their.
I'm sure that was when they were probably handed around like a calendar.
well, that's amazing. Well, when you walked down Polk Street just now, you were kind of reminiscing. How does it make you feel to walk down Polk Street now, which is very straight?
Well, you know,
very homogeneous.
no,
actually,
I feel like Polk Street is like there's seeds planted there.
Yes.
So there are of all kinds of things that need to be fertilized. This is
Exactly.
I'm talking to you. Now.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you know what
Needs
I
to be
mean.
fertilized.
we need to keep the queer world there
Take it
alive.
back.
We're
No,
taken
I
over by the
think
breeder.
because this town exists on tourism.
Yes.
If you
Yeah.
tell people that Polk Street is a gay center, it's a gay center. So all you have to do is get a couple of clubs.
maybe a sex
You
club.
need some backers to come in here and pour some gay
The
money.
Real World House.
Yeah.
We heard about
They're
that.
moving
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, I mean, this all needs to be redeveloped because there's too many straight bars in the
Oh, yeah.
Polk
And
area.
they
And
are
it's all
packed on the
homogeneous.
weekend.
Even my friend who visited here from Germany, he moved here from Germany. He's a straight guy, and he was talking about how everything in America, in the straight world, is everybody's the same. Like
Well,
he
there
was
you go.
complaining about it.
But
So
that's
that's
they're all
America.
Yeah.
wearing the same clothes. You
That's,
know,
I'm
and
sure
everything.
that's not true. But
That's our.
I'm not wearing that. I
Yeah,
can tell you that
exactly.
much.
if
Well,
it
that's
looked
our-
good on you,
So that's our
Steph.
Gap
So
culture.
good.
I mean, everything's based on the Gap and all these other kind of like plain
marketing.
clothes.
Well, no, it's marketing, and
marketing
marketing,
of the
marketing is the
corporation.
key to how we got in this mess in
Well,
the gay community. Anyways, because we let the corporate America tell us what masculinity was all about, and
We're
that
gonna take
includes,
that back, too.
that
Oh,
includes
God.
the gay. That
Oh,
includes the gay
definitely.
media.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was like telling us no fats or femmes need apply.
Right.
You have to have, you have to look
Yeah.
like the Marlboro Man, and to say I'm really good with this guy because he's straight acting. Those are two words that should just be removed.
Right.
Straight acting. No.
No, to me, a real true straight guy wants to try dick and wants to dress up as a woman and see what it feels like.
Well, hold that thought.
Maria's version.
Real
of it.
man.
I mean, it's
That's
like you do one of those like a Murder She Wrote things, and that was like your solving of the crime.
No, let's go back to Agatha Christie. Murder, She Wrote was shit.
Wasn't it?
It was just the worst
Yeah,
show.
Give me Death in the Nile.
Never.
Okay, speaking of marketing, how do we find your book? And you, if people are interested
If
in
you're
hearing
well, and
more
you
from
will
this
be,
fabulous
you're
author,
interested already. I know it. Just
Right.
admit it. You
We didn't
can
even get to
find
the
these
film
books in my
archive.
third one on Amazon, on Google, or Bear Manor Media, or you can come to filmsinreview.com, where my monthly column is called Camp David.
Okay.
I also have a blog, Del Val Archives at blogspot.com, or you can get a hold of the fine folks here at Under the Golden
we will
Gate.
put links on his interview when it comes out.